Here we are again, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Earnhardt Experience, episode 13. And thankfully, I have a guest again who I've scheduled with and what have you. None other than Adam Warzone, motherfucking Warzinski, baby. Woo! Thank you for coming on to the
Yeah,
show, Adam.
absolutely. What an intro.
Yes, sir. I try my best. But anyways, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. We got it all right here. Um, but before I start that, I want to ask you a few questions because you are somebody I've known of but haven't really followed. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, whatever. So you're Adam Warzinski. You're in South Carolina, and this is a second member off of Carolina Chaos, ladies and gentlemen. Oh yeah, second one. The first and last one was Ryan the Bull Belanger. We had a great episode, and so you're a part of Carolina Chaos. How long have you been arm wrestling? Month and year?
Oh, man. I have been arm wrestling technically since, my first tournament would have been, uh, let's just say the beginning of 2015. So I forget whether that was January or February, something of that nature, but that would have been my first ever tournament. So I guess that's what you could call my start date.
So January, February of what year?
2015. So I'm actually right at the 10-year.
2015. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You've been in it for a good bit. Okay.
Yeah. Big break. I was in high school at the time. Actually, it was my last year, and I went to a military institution. So the next 4 years were very absent, if you will, maybe a tournament a year or so. Not
Yeah.
much specific training,
So
but
you're okay. So you're a veteran, right? What branch?
no, not in that. No, I went to the Citadel, and I did go to a military
Oh,
institution. Not go into the service, no sir. So I'm not a
okay,
veteran, but
okay.
only about a third of our graduates actually end up going into the service. But I don't know if you're familiar. It's a school in Charleston, South Carolina. We're not federal, so it's a private institution.
I've actually been through there a little bit, a few
Nice,
times. Not gonna
good.
say about what. One was good though. You know, I actually made two trips there. I went through MEPS for the National Guard, and I actually had to go through MEPS twice. And unfortunately, because I don't want to talk about it. It's a mess. I should have been in the military though. You know, my mother would argue that because of how I was discipline wise and certain things I did. You know, I had that somewhat that character to where I should have been, but you know, it wasn't meant to be. Before we go any further, I want to shout out to my true fans and subscribers. Uh, and also, if she is watching, I want to give a special shout out to Bree and my Bigo fans. Love you guys. And to my haters, keep drinking that haterade, motherfuckers. Oh, yeah.
Didn't
But,
talk that way about
anyways,
you.
oh, yeah. Oh, no, not my haters. But if anybody cares to follow me, here you go right here. I'm on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. All right. So moving along here, right? What I normally like to do is I like to hit your stats and what have you. And all this, not all of it completely, but for the most part, it's coming from the arsarms.com. It's basically Corey Miller, the Flash, and his co-partner who have created this lovely site where arm wrestlers like me and you can just basically build our resume, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So starting off, um, in the right hand 242 plus, you're 8-0. In the 242 regular open right hand, you're 14-8. In the 220, this is your area right here. Seems like 220, you are, or the 198, but in the 220, you are 29-12, and then the 198, you're 23-5. Both of those classes are very impressive. Now, what is your general weight right now?
I woke up this morning probably about 208.
208. So you are a WAF wise, you're a 220 guy weight wise, but IFA, you're like a 210.
I mean, I'll go to 190. I mean, I'll go to 90 kilo, for a WAF style event, because
Okay.
that's closer than 220.
Gotcha.
I only got to do about, maybe, it's closer to 90 kilo than it is 220. So
Gotcha. Now your left hand ain't bad, ain't too bad, but you are definitely right hand dominant according to the stats.
mm-hmm.
242 plus, you're 0-2. 242 regular, you're 4-6. You're 220, you're 19-12. And the 198, you're 6-4.
I had no idea stats existed until you just pointed them out to me. So,
yeah. Now, because I really believe what Corey Miller and them, what they've created with that, is very wonderful. Because it's just like I said, you can basically go, and now it more so, probably in general, right? Not everybody, but probably these days now, because of that and what they've created with that, and how that could be your resume in the sport. Guys are like asking the promoters of the tournaments before they even go to them, like, do you give your stats to the heirs, right? They will seriously ask that now, because if they don't, they're not going to see a point in that, because there's no way for them to online build their resume stat wise and get it all calculated,
Well, it's a fantastic way to gather data and to numerically rank people based on just pure facts and not opinion. However, it does have its flaws. Right now, I think as time goes on, and if people truly commit to it, enter in the data, then it will obviously improve as we gather more data. But I mean, some of the people ranked, I mean, and now it's based on the data, but some of the people that are ranked at the top of each weight class respectively, I mean, clearly, would not beat some of the people that are underneath them,
Shots fired! Shots fired!
No, I don't mean
fired.
No, it's not shots fired. No, I mean, it's not shots fired. It's just, it's going off of perhaps some old data. Okay. That's one thing you have in consideration. It doesn't take into consideration X factors. Like I said, it's one of those systems where it's data driven. So it needs more data. It needs time.
Yes.
Everybody to buy in. Oh, I love it. I love the Aries
system. That was one thing, not just personally talking with Corey Miller about it, but even when he was on like the 98% talking about it, I think it already existed, but he was now expounding on it, and he explained it that way too. Basically, the more info at a certain level, the more accurate it can predict like who's going to win and this, that, and the third. But also the inaccuracies, we're going to get to this, because some of these stats that I'm fixing to mention here are very interesting. Even like the armfighter.com, and I'll just tell it right now. You, sir, are ranked in the same right-hand 210 class on the armfighter.com with your boy Ryan the Bull Bellinger, who's number 1. But ladies and gentlemen, as we both know, and what Ryan has spilled the beans on, is that really you should be number 1 and he may be number 3, because you, sir, are ranked 3rd in the 210 on the right hand. Because last episode he was telling me, like, because I was seeing stats where he had beaten you, right? Well, he's told and said that really, like, if y'all were to go at it right now, basically, he couldn't get you right-handed.
You know something? I think Ryan's just being nice, but in all honesty,
What?
Eric,
I want to see it
look,
now. Let's go.
look here. You know, some are opinion based, some are fact, some are data, some are both. But let me tell you something. To me, at the end of the day, that doesn't matter. You know, I mean, the end of the day, I have confidence in knowing that when I pass away, praise the Lord, I'm a child of the King. I'll be with Jesus in heaven. And you know something? This arm wrestling journey for me, it's just a way for me to give the precious good news that has been given to me. And that's what it's all about, you know, because I mean, Christ, he died for all of us. He died for you. He died for me. If we were the only men to ever lived on earth, you know, he would have still had to come. And some people, it's a shame because it's all over the world. I mean, it is, but some people don't, some people know, but some people don't realize that you have to accept him in your heart. And people fight over rankings and people fight over money and power and this. And man, if you don't have Jesus, you ain't got nothing. You know what I mean?
It's all about perspective. I hear you.
All about, you know, it's this life, you know what I mean? What is it in comparison to eternity? Can you even imagine? Can you even imagine? It's just a vapor. It's just a droplet of rain. And it's important to think beyond that. I mean, you know,
Got me thinking about that old Christian song. I can only imagine.
Oh, sure. I mean, you know, like
Yeah.
you save. Do you save money? Do you put finances away?
I have a savings. Yes, I do.
Yeah, I mean, you save, right? Because it's smart. You want to save for the future. You want to save for what's to come. You know, it's probably not smart to spend every dollar you get right away. You know, you probably need to have some financial security.
What? Oh,
You know?
you're hitting a nerve here with the shopaholics.
But what about
Shots fired! Shots fired!
but what about that security? You know what I mean? What about that security you can have? You know, what about like a question I like to ask people, and I'll ask you, you know, if something just catastrophic were to happen right now, and we were, you know, a meteor would have come down and you were to die, do you know where you would go? Do you know if you would go to heaven or hell, or do you not know? Do you know?
I mean, I can only guess, you know.
I mean, so then I would take that maybe as you don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
Oh, brother, then it's my privilege today to tell you. The Bible tells you that you can absolutely, with 100% certainty, you can know where you're going to go. You can know. You know, you don't have to earn anything. Jesus, you know, because at the end of the day, you have to realize that all of us, me, you, everybody, we all, no matter how hard we try to be a good person or do people right, we all fall short. And we all deserve, I mean, the truth being is we all deserve hell. But I mean, praise the Lord, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, that whosoever shall believe in him and confess his name shall not perish. You can become a child of the King.
John 3:16, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, I mean,
oh hell yeah! I'm sorry, I had to do the Austin 3:16.
I mean,
we got a comment. Candy Passmore. Wow, thank you for that. Thank you for that, Candy. Definitely being gracious and merciful.
It's serious matters, though, Eric. I mean, for you and for anybody watching, if you can't answer that question with 100% security and with 100%, I know I'm going to go spend life after this life with Jesus, with the Lord in heaven, then search the scriptures. I would, it'd be my prayer that you take a look.
Oh, I'm way ahead of you. Yes, please, sir. I'm way ahead of you. I was raised in the church, 6 years old to my mid to late teens. And years later after that, after I seen my father, seriously, I don't have dad problems. My dad showed me what it is to be a man, to make tough decisions, to get cold turkey clean and do shit right for his family, go to AA, And we were a church going family. I was seriously born in a nuclear family, as they call it, which is damn near non existent today, right? So I know what love is, I know what it looks like. Um, but it wasn't until this in 2014 when I went to prison for 5 plus years. I was fortunate enough to be in the Phillips State Nut House, as I call it, but it's over there in Buford, Phillips State Prison here in Georgia. And they had a Baptist Bible College on the premises.
Oh, wow.
And I got connected with some guys, and I did my theological studies, my collegiate level, as they call it, college level studies on my own, with a lexicon and as they call it, and the concordance,
Yeah.
and all that. Doing word for word study in the Greek, Hebrew, and Aramaic, studying scripture, doing theological studies, and not just in Christianity, studying that. I even studied, a little bit in other religions like the Muslims and what they believe, and all that other stuff. But yeah, I understand and I appreciate what you're doing, but I know too much because they even had a computer program there, right? It was actually called Libronics. And with this computer program, right, you could seriously make you a Bible translation of whatever kind you deemed for whatever purpose, right? It had so many tools on it, and it even had literature on it. Like I was able to look up Josephus, who's the one and only Jewish historian, very notable. And I don't know, man. uh,
So you've seen some things that is
uh,
sort of the question.
oh yeah. Believe me, because I mean, if you really want to hear my opinion, which I'm trying not to go there. There's two things you don't talk about is religion and politics, right? You got the
Brother, this is
spotlight on me.
that's okay. Listen, I'm not preaching religion. Religion is a practice. Religion is a practice that
Yes.
you must adhere to a set of rules. You must adhere. You must do. You must earn to obtain some sort of salvation, higher enlightenment. Listen, Jesus came down and he cleared all that up. The Old Testament,
Yeah.
all of the prophecies. He said, "Listen, you can't earn it." He said, "You can't earn it. You can try as hard as you want to, but I'm here for you. I gave you the sacrifice." It's as simple as every religion says you must do this to get this. Jesus said, "No, no, 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 no. I'm going to give you this so that you can
Mercy.
do this."
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. So, I mean, I hear you, but that's what makes,
Yeah, and I know I should be doing better. Because, I can tell you right now, man, before I started drinking when I was like 26, 27, then I went to prison for 5 plus years. So obviously I was cold turkey. Then when I got out, I went right back to it. And there were some personal reasons for that. But before I was 26, 27 years old, I didn't do nothing. Totally clean.
yeah,
Um,
we
but
all have pasts,
I've
I
been,
mean,
I've been snake bitten basically. I ain't gonna lie. I like it. I don't need it. Um, it just allows me to, I don't know, and really in certain ways, it's kind of made me a fool too. So it's a double edged sword. Not gonna lie.
the
Um,
alcohol or I'm sorry,
say
I didn't
that
know
again.
exactly what made you, what was a double-edged sword to you?
It's a double edged sword because I have a very active mind, right?
I mean,
I
what
don't
is the
have
double?
sleep apnea or whatever, but it calms me. It numbs my mind. But the double-edged sword part is where I'm really mellow and good under the influence. But when I really get drunk or whatever, I've had not a lot, but I've had some nights where God damn, I wake up the next morning, I don't even remember what the fuck happen. Like for instance, uh, me and Justin Bishop, right? You know, he me and Chase Edmonton were having words, and so I'm the bad guy, right, and get booted from his group, Facebook group chat on Messenger, right? Well, I didn't think that was the right thing to do because I mean, I just couldn't help myself. I just, you know, Chase had a hair up his ass for me, and like every time I would mention PEDs and him being on them and shit, he would get like seemingly oversensitive, right?
Yeah.
And I was just feeding off of that and picking at him afterwards because I thought it was ridiculous and hilarious. So I just kept going at it. You know, Justin, he booted me out. But what it is one night, and I had to apologize and explain to him later, like, I don't know why I said what I said to you, bro, but I don't even remember because, like, I was out of it that night. Because I sent him a message saying, I hope you break your shit. And then he sent me a message and it wasn't pretty. But
Well,
I had to apologize to him because Justin Bishop is good people. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have my nickname and that what you everybody just seen on the intro and everything. You know, if it wasn't for him, you know, and me driving out there and everything, I wouldn't have the nickname that I have because he actually called me Earnhardt, like Dale Earnhardt, right? Because I had the handlebar mustache only, then I had the retro shades on, and I looked like Dale Earnhardt, you know. But
yeah,
anyways,
the alcohol is one of those. I mean, that's why they call it spirits, right? It's just like anything else, Eric. You know, you have to understand that how Satan and sin works. And I mean, I'm not saying that I'm not calling you that anything. I'm just,
starts in the mind.
it
Starts
wasn't,
all in the mind.
it wasn't until, I mean, sin is what separates us from God. And it's only by our own free will. I mean, we have the choice. Unfortunately, we always choose to walk away. And for me, it wasn't until about 3 years ago until I grew up Catholic, Western Pennsylvania, always knew about Jesus. Started to slip, from that in my college years. And I kind of just, little by little. And next thing you know, I see myself as this worthless human being, just morally, and I knew exactly what I was missing in my life, and that was God. And I didn't know where to find him. And I had a friend, who went to church on Wednesdays. And why that's important is because Sundays is when I go train with Carolina Chaos. I drive up and I drive back, and it's a whole day. Like it's 8 hours because it's 3 hours one way of driving, and 3 to 2 hours of practice, and your
Wow,
Sundays.
you too? Ryan Belanger was saying he drives a long way too to get to there.
Believe it or not, he drives total of 2 hours further than me. He lives 4 hours away. He lives in Myrtle Beach, goes to Spartanburg. I live in Charleston area, so he drives further. But anyhow, yeah.
Oh, so you're on the beach. You're over there by the beach, huh?
I mean, yeah,
I've
I
been
live
over
in
there.
30 minutes outside, 30 minutes out Somerville. But yes, Charleston area.
Okay.
And but anyhow, yeah. So I went to church with her on a Wednesday night, and man, let me tell you, somebody actually took the time to greet me, ask me how I was after the service, asked me the same question I just asked you. I said, you know where you got? I said, I got no idea. I said, no, I got no idea. And he took me through, and he opened up this word right here. And brother, I've been saved ever since. That's when I accepted Christ into my heart. That's when I accepted him into my heart. And I can tell you that he came in and he transformed me, and I am not that same human being anymore. And he did the rest, and my life got cleaned up after that, slowly but surely.
Gotcha.
And it wasn't anything, but things just started not to feel right. I said, you know what, man, I no longer have a desire to go out and drink anymore. I couldn't tell you why. It just didn't sit right. I no longer had a desire to say cuss words. I no longer had a desire. It's just certain music I listen to. I'm talking like crazy change that I would have never thought that I would have experienced. And I did. and it's because Jesus Christ, I accepted him into my heart. And that's my message that's my message to everybody, to you, to anybody watching. You know, arm wrestling is super fun. It's brought me places, man. I'm blessed. I mean, I've been blessed to go overseas. I've been blessed to travel around the country.
Yeah.
To meet
Yeah.
some amazing.
We'll get into that in a little bit too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We got a comment right here from your boy, Ryan the Bull Bellinger. Thank you for that comment. Amen, Adam. God was absent in my life for a while as well. 8 years sober and alcohol free. I owe it all to God.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate
Amen.
that comment, Ryan.
Ryan has a wonderful testimony, and I'm sure he'd love to share it with anybody watching or you as well. He has a wonderful testimony.
Cool. All right, so moving on in the stats, right? So we already mentioned your left and right arm stats. You're number 3 on armfighter.com, which was where Ryan the Bull Bellinger is ranked number 1 and arm puller of the year, right? I would argue you should probably be number 1, though. I mean, unless Ryan was like really being nice, like too nice.
Well, I'm going
But
to tell you,
if it's like that, I want to see it. Like both of y'all banging fresh right-handed. We got to see it now.
I will
Gloves
tell you
off.
the truth. I'll tell you the honest truth. Okay. Before Ryan Belanger came and practiced with Carolina Chaos, I beat him so bad in tournaments. Let me tell you, it was, I mean, I'm probably, and he says it, I'm like 40-0 against this guy. And let me tell you something.
Here you go right there. He's saying it. He should be number 1. I don't want that smoke.
I just said needs to preface what I'm going to say. What I'm going to say, this is the truth, is now that he has become a part of our team, okay, which he was getting better, and then he, finally realized, okay, well, the greatest team in the nation sits in Spartanburg, South Carolina, and I might as well go, right? And he comes and he does it right, and he joins us, and I can't touch him in practice. I cannot touch him.
What? Not the war zone, baby. Okay.
Listen. There's a wonderful verse in Proverbs that I'm going to try to remember
Go
off
ahead.
the top. Okay, but I think you know where I'm going here, Eric. You know where I'm going?
Book of Wisdom right there, old Proverbs. What you got?
You know where I'm going? I'm man, I can't remember it, but as iron, as one man.
Yeah. Iron sharpens iron. Yeah.
Sharpeneth iron. And I'll tell you right now, Ryan the Bull Belanger, we sharpened him. And let me tell you something right now, he's sharpening me. Okay.
Gotcha.
That's the truth. So he can talk about I'm number one all I want. Well, let me tell you something. He is number 1, and he rightfully deserves to be number 1. And I don't want that smoke, Ryan. So how about that?
Well, why can I not find friends like this? Jesus Christ.
Hey, he'll be one. Jesus, he'll be.
Oh, yeah.
I promise. He wants to be your friend.
All right. But now, aside from the arm fighter rankings, right, which are legit, on the ARSarms.com and the Open 220 right-handed, you are ranked 17 among thousands of other people, right? And guys, I'm not going to name all of them. I didn't name all of them that were ahead of you, but I did note certain names that were ahead of you, and even one of them is a hoot. All right, guys to beat that are ranked higher than you on here that you would want to be and increase your ELO rating, right, would be guys like Brent Rackers, Craig Tullier, Eli Browhard, Dan the Iron Man Mosier. Artem Taranenko is the funny one. Because I know your history with Artem. All right.
You should know. Out of all the names you just mentioned, okay, Brent Rockers, beat him. Love Brent, by the way. Brent's a fantastic human being.
Yeah.
Eli Brewer, another fantastic human being, but I beat him. Craig Tullier, rightfully so, have never beat him. Dan Mosier,
Yeah, yeah.
rightfully so. However, this is why there's some flaws in the ELO rankings. Dan,
Have you beaten Dan Mosier before?
no, the only time I've ever locked up with Dan Mosier was Mississippi State of 2000 and probably 20. Okay, so that was also
Ooh,
I was very
during
new.
COVID.
Well, yeah, but I was also very, I graduated college 2019. I told you I really didn't arm wrestle that much. So, I mean, I was good then, but I wasn't what I am now. So, and I'm sure Dan's the same guy either. But, and the other thing you have to understand with these ELO rankings is when I go to a tournament, this is just me personally, a lot of times, well, not so much anymore, but I used to go to tournaments and, okay, the 198 is the class I'm really competing in, right? I mean, I would jump in. I'd jump in the 220s, 240s, and even supers, just because I wanted the experience. Right. So, like, you see me in 42s. The only time I've ever pulled 242s is after I just won the 98s and the 220s, and now I'm pulling the 242s. So, like, it's not me.
When you got enough in the tank, right?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
When you're still feeling good.
It's like those 220 stats that you see and those 242 stats that you see were probably me pulling multiple classes, and I definitely wasn't only pulling that class that day. So those are probably some of the, for instance, like a good example is at Arizona State's in July of the year before, not last year, the year before. Okay. I won the 9, and that tournament was stacked. Okay, that tournament, there was overseas talent. It was awesome. I won the 98s, but I had an absolute war with David Eigen. Okay, absolutely blew my arm off. I also made it to the 220 finals that day and had to pull Shark after that. Obviously, Shark destroyed me. Okay, fast forward from July.
Not anymore, though, right? Well, not anymore. That knuckles up. Yeah.
January. Exactly. So it's like, I mean, that's kind of an extreme example, but that should paint a picture and an illustration of kind of why I might be low. I mean, I don't really care. Those weight classes aren't, like I said, they don't take into consideration any of my East versus West wins, any of my, anywhere else I've competed in a super match. Really, it's tournament data. The ELO rankings are great. It's data driven, but your
boy Ryan the Bull Bellinger says you got that Devon-like endurance. That man don't get tired. Appreciate the comment there, Ryan.
I didn't get tired.
All right, so moving along, other names, right, are obviously Ryan Bellinger, John Theron, and Austin Tevis. Those are all the names right there that guys are ranked higher than you in that. But check this right, as we go down to the 198, and this, as you said earlier, this is more so your area than the 220s, because in this one, when you go to classes, right, these stats with the 220 ranked 17th, whatever, this is when you go to classes and put your name in, right, and it breaks it down even further. Bruh, you were in the top 10. You were ranked 9th in the open right hand 198. And guys to beat in that category are Corey Miller, Robbie Russell, Craig Tullier, Bill Hands of Steel Logston, and Artem Taranenko again. How is this cat getting so high rankings? And I know, that's the 198. He's getting ranked 9th.
He goes and pulls all the, right?
Yeah.
He pulls every, I mean, so rightfully so. I mean, but all those names you just mentioned, again, the only one I beat, I mean, all those names I've beaten except for Craig.
Yeah.
Actually, I think I can't remember everybody you mentioned, but I mean, yeah. I mean,
so
Ryan,
I know you faced in that round robin, which we'll get to that here in my notes later on. But you actually didn't face him. You faced his son, Stephen Logston, in that round robin, over a year ago or so.
Go back to 2021, Kansas City, and I beat Steve and Bill Logston in that tournament.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Well, Steven, I'd actually no, I'm sorry. I just beat Bill that tournament. Steven beat me left, but I did beat Bill right. Yeah. And I haven't seen him since. I think he's more kind of I don't know. I know he's active, but I haven't seen him since. So
Gotcha. All right. Now, going to that round robin, the 198 right hand 2023 round robin, you beat Jason Merlot, the fine wine. Yeah, I got it. Then you also beat Eduardo Titi or Titi or
yeah,
Tate or the Eli Brohard or Browhard, Casey Coley, Louis Alarcon, Alarcon, Bob Brown. That's a tactician for you right there. That's a hell of a. I would love to train with that man. And I remember seeing all the gems he spilled out with Paul Italia on their segment together over a year ago. You beat Artem Taranenko, Quinlan Mendez, Stephen Logston, but you lost to only two gentlemen, Robbie Russell and Craig Tullier.
yep,
So
yeah, that's right.
safe to say that you were third place on that one in the 198.
That day I was third. Yes, sir.
My next note is the 2024 Great American Bash, which whew, got a lot of steam on it. If you don't mind me asking, were you paid in full?
No,
No,
listen,
okay.
I'm bash, anybody, but I mean, look, those two I've already spoken to both of them, but I don't know what's going on there. But if you're going to
Gotcha.
host a tournament, you're going to say you're going to do something, then just do it. And if you anticipate that you're going to get the money through payouts, I certainly understand that. I did that with my South Carolina event. I bit the bullet 2 weeks prior, and I said, you know what? To try to get more entries, I said I'm going to pay out. It wasn't much, 300 to first, 200 to second, 100 to third. And, I thinking I was going to get the entries. And before I got a single dollar of entry fee money, I went to my bank account and I withdrew the $7,000 or $8,000 in cash, however much it was, and put it all in envelopes. Because if anybody was going to,
What the fuck?
$8,000 to
Well, I mean,
run
yeah.
that tournament and then make the payouts, pay the refs, the bracketers, and everything.
It was just, I mean, I forget how much was it in payouts. It was $500 per arm. We had 5 weight divisions, right and left. I can't do math on the spot. Anyway, plus the women's. So yes, it was like $7,000. So I took that own bank account prior, and I'm not trying to brag or anything. I'm just making an example. If anybody's going to take a loss, it needs to be you, because your word is worth everything. Your word is everything. You can't put a value.
Yeah, it is.
You cannot
My
put a
word
value.
is my bond.
So
Yeah.
if you say you're going to pay
And
out 20,
even Scarface said it the best way. I only got two things in this world. I got my word and my balls. Yeah.
has his word, and the only reason he had his word is because he has Jesus. And so that's my, I'll tell you. But yeah, you get, if you're going to pay that, then pay it. No, nobody got paid in full.
Gotcha. Now, what's interesting, right, is one of the two gentlemen that you lost to right-handed in the 198 round robin, right, you defeated in this Great American Bash this past year, and it was Robbie Russell. So you've leveled up.
Well, I mean, you have to look at Robbie and I's history. Robbie and I have probably gripped up and arm wrestled probably 20 matches over the past 4 years, 5 years.
Yeah.
The only time I've ever lost to him was in the round robin. Well, let me take that back. The round robin, and we pulled a super match. The second time we met each other, and I lost to him 1 round. I beat him in the super match, but it was 3-1. So the only time, and then there was a tournament in Tennessee where we met up a few times. In the first encounter, he came very close to pinning me. Probably if there were 10 refs in the building, 5 would have called it a pin, and actually probably 7 or 8 would have called it a pin, and 2 wouldn't have called it a pin. And we just so happened to have the referee that didn't call it a pin. So I'll give him that too. And I mean, Robbie and I have a great history, great respect for each other, but we're always neck and neck anyhow.
Gotcha.
I mean, I've gotten of him for the past, but yeah, the only time I've ever really officially lost to him was if my mind serves me correct, was that round robin.
And it was probably because, like, I know in general, right? General pro knowledge, right? I already know you're a hooker and you actually expend more energy in a hook than you do in a top roll generally, right? I can only assume by the time, after multiple guys, by the time you got to him, you weren't basically 100, because that's how round robin works. It's stamina driven, and you could easily bleed yourself out, playing them hook games, which you love. That's why they call you the war zone, So,
Yes, yeah, I mean, no, I'm not going to say I was tired, because, I mean, truth be told, I don't really get, I don't want to I just don't get tired. Like, I get beat. I mean, it takes a lot for me to get blown up. I don't know. Maybe there's something in my blood. Like, people have those higher lactic acid capabilities. I don't know the science behind that, but I don't get tired.
yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to say I don't get tired, because I do, but I wasn't tired. Robbie beat me. He was better that day. Like I said, we've always been neck and neck, and I mean that. And I just so happen to have come up on top more often. But I mean, you're talking like we were right there. I just, that day he was a little better, and we're going to go through periods of time in the next 10, 20, however many years we keep pulling, and there's going to be times where he defeats me and I defeat him, and it'll be like that until we die. So it's just, he was better that day.
Okay. All right. Now this was supposedly the Great American Bash open right-handed 198 was 18 people, and you went 6-1. So I'm assuming you got first place, right?
Yes, sir. I did.
All right. And you beat Ole Mousey or Mosey, or however you pronounce his last name. Jason Kite is how they, but I think maybe it was Knight. It's no N there, so it's Kite with a Kight. James Kite, Brandon Moody, Robbie Russell, and you beat Artem Taranenko twice, but you did lose to him once.
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty impressive.
Thank you. Yeah.
Now, moving along, let's talk about your East versus West appearances. Because, sir, you are 2-2 on East versus West. You've made 4 appearances: East versus West 5, 7, 9, and 13. And boy, you've been through it, because I'll just hold my comments there. But the interesting thing I noticed, for the most part, is in East versus West 5 and 7, and 5 you weighed in at 205, and 7 you were 205 in East versus West 5. East versus West 7 you were 209, so you're a few pounds heavier. But in East versus West 9 you were 187 pounds against Arthur Malkarov, that guy with the the extremely wide hands, kind of like Ole on the left arm, slightly deformed.
That's right.
And
yes,
that
sir.
guy was actually 167. So you had 20 pounds on that cat.
Yeah.
Which, because I mean, just looking at y'all, it's really hard for me to see how he was 167. But I guess that's how the weigh-ins happen. You're like Ryan Bowen at Knuckles Up. You make weight, and then like less than 24 hours, you gain 20 pounds back.
Well, no, I mean, it's no secret that MMA style sports, fighting sports, have utilized weight cuts, right? And by weight cuts, I mean utilizing water to make a weigh-in. And I have nothing against it. It's I do it completely naturally. I don't use any kind of diuretics or any banned substance. I mean, I put in the work, and
Sauna.
it's
You
a
do a
lengthy process.
sauna,
Yeah, when
or
it
do
comes
you
time.
do or do you do like the where you're wearing the trash bag to sweat out?
Yeah, I mean, I do. If at East versus West, I usually run a hot bath, and I do it that way when it's time to shed that water. But it's a tough thing to do. It's a tough thing to do and maintain all of your strength and all of your and be healthy. I mean, people mess up all the time, and it screws them over. And so
Yeah.
definitely give take. I mean, I will say this: I have competed at 85 kilo, 187 pounds. I've competed at 100 kilos, 220, and you feel better when you're heavier. You do. And the key is when you make those water cuts is you try to feel the same way you feel when you're walking around as when you after that water cut. But it's hard to do. I mean, yes, I had a lot of weight on him. It was a last minute match. Actually, I got the phone call like 3 weeks before that event. It was very last because
Yeah. I guess he had an original opponent that couldn't make it, and they were scrambling.
yeah, it was the two contestants ended up I forget. I think it was a WAF conflict, not like not political, but literally like the WAF worlds were, they were training for WAF worlds and didn't want to risk it, compete or whatever. So they were scrambling to find an opponent for him. And my name
Sweet.
got thrown. Maybe, hey,
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe
Good.
and at that point I'd
Yeah.
never made that weight. I never
Yeah.
tried
You
to.
were small. Yeah. You were
Yeah,
small.
little. Yeah, I was
But
little.
starting with East versus West 5, you went right handed against Bazidar, Bazidar
Bojidar.
Simeonov. Yeah. And you dominated 3-0. That this was a Bulgarian multiple world champion that you smoked. And let's see that beautiful beam footage of the first round right here, ladies and gentlemen. Check this shit out.
You know what Boji told me? Boji's like, maybe a top rope. I was like, what?
There's the start, and there is the top rope.
And then he goes inside.
Oh, look at Adam.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's cheeky, isn't it? There.
That's cheeky right there. That was Ryan Bowen on the commentary after you had caught him when he was trying to top roll out to slip intentionally. You had caught him and just sunk him right back in. That was so beautiful. That's when you
Yeah,
know you're dominant right there. That's when you know you got it. And your comments were, if I remember correctly, were like, "Oh, do it again." Yeah, I want to see more. You were seriously talking some mad shit to him.
oh, no, I was, look, I'm not somebody that ever likes to talk smack or do that, but what I do is, when I'm on the table, I'm very passionate about what I do, and I try to, I just let it out, and it's not I try not to do
Oh
it.
yeah,
I try
that's
not
the
to.
beauty about arm wrestling. You get to let that inner monster out, as Cobra Rhodes said one time.
And there's no monster in me. I'm not possessed, but I am passionate about what I do, and I do express it, and that's true entertainment. Some of these guys intentionally try to talk a certain way or be a certain way, and they act, and it's just silly, and it makes our sport look silly. I want to see the true you. I want to see your passion. I want to see what it means to you. And when you try to act and do things and say things and use profane language, it doesn't look professional at all. So I would hope that I hear that way, but it's important to be passionate and to be sincere, but certainly not. This ain't Hollywood, it ain't Hollywood.
Oh yeah, believe me. Like whenever you know, when I'm on the table and how I've acted, it's been a great outlet for me, honestly. And I do not hold back from any kind of expressions. I'm a firm believer in the First Amendment of the Constitution, freedom of speech, expression, religion, etc. And for me, I don't put on a face like you're my enemy on the table. So you know, I tried and I did like for example, right? I was sponsored less than 2 years into the sport, man. April 1st by David Kotlow, November 2nd, this past November 2nd to AW5. And I actually showed a lot of respect for my left-handed opponent, and a lot more than I would for a regular opponent. I'll just put it that way. We got a comment. Harlan is doing his best in many ways. Appreciate that comment there, Coben. That's a true fan right there. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. But at the same time, I couldn't put a mask on and play too nice, and so I didn't, and completely, because I do have an ego, and yes, I do have anger problems. So I just and all the social media BS I've been through to get to that point, and even afterwards, I mean, when I go to the table, I just let it all out, all my frustrations and what have you. It's an outlet for me. And I have a very competitive nature. Like, I'm an ex poker player, it's in the family, chess player. I've been on a hiatus from that. I'm an ex WWE 2K player online. I was top 10 in the nation, or not nation, but the world on online game playing with WWE 2K22, and then I retired, and then I got into arm wrestling in September of 2022, and
Yeah.
it's been a hell of a journey. I can say that it's definitely been a hell of a journey, and that's really an understatement. It's definitely been rocky.
Well, the best thing I can tell you is really be careful about how you treat people, because remember, we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers and darkness of this world. And, people
Yeah.
are just vessels. People are just vessels. And here's the thing, the Jesus tells us that if you're not my child, then you're of the devil. You're a child of the devil.
Yep.
Everybody says we're all God's children, and man, I wish that were true. It's not. You're not a child of God until you accept His Son. And well, therefore, if you're a child of the devil, then you're probably going to say or act or do some devilish things, and you're probably going to be used by Satan however he desires to use you. And when somebody offends you, or somebody says something to you, or says something about you, I know it's
It
hard
don't
to
even
do.
have to be that, though. It could be just neglect,
Man,
or
whatever.
not or non-reciprocation. Because, like,
If
I mean,
somebody,
I'm sure you've been with certain people, and you've given a lot relationship wise to that person, and then when you get on the low, they don't reciprocate back.
but that's okay. But that's okay, because listen, it's not
Uh,
about. It's about if you're helping out somebody else, or you're treating somebody else only because you're expecting that same way in return, well, then you're no different from anybody else, because anybody can do that. But it
yeah,
takes a loving person to love someone unconditionally,
unconditionally.
not
Yep.
expect anything in return. So, yeah, there's going to be people who mistreat you, and take the word mistreat and fan it out however you will. But and look, I'm guilty of it. I mean, how many times have somebody done me wrong, and then I go back and I talk about them, or I do them wrong? But guess what? That doesn't make what I did right. And
Nope.
so somebody, you're going to go through this journey. You're going to find people who, have mistreated you or whatever. And hey, that's all right. That means that you still love them. And guess what? If you've mistreated others, like I have, then you make it right. You go back to them and say, hey, you know what? We got off on the wrong foot, man. I said some things about you. Why I said them, it doesn't matter. I said them, and I'm sorry, and I hope to make it right. And I'll tell you what, you'll be a better man for it. You'll sleep better at night, and it'll only help you, and it'll only glorify your journey. It'll only make you a better man. But
Jay Coben says, good point, Adam.
I would really
go ahead.
Well, what you just did right there was point somebody out, and that's not good. I mean, maybe he does, maybe he doesn't, but let's just say that he does. Okay, that's fine. Let him go. Help him. Do whatever. Do what That doesn't mean the less that we can talk. If you ain't, if you don't have nothing nice to say about somebody, just don't say it. Just don't say it. I'll tell you what you can do. Yeah. You can pray for. You can say, "Dear God, I don't know what this man or woman is going through, and they said some choice words to me or mistreated me some way, and I don't know. Maybe there's something going on in their life that would cause them to do that, or maybe they're just a bitter person. Could you help them? Could you help them out?" And that's man, I'm maybe telling this to you, but I'm preaching this to me before I'm preaching this to you because I got to hear it, and it's important to talk this way versus continuing to gossip and talk and man, what this person said, what that person said, what did they do? I'm not about it. I used to be about it, but not anymore. So
yeah.
And for the
truth,
brother,
puts conditions on his love and then won't ever forgive people. Appreciate the comment there, Jay Coben. I'm not going to talk about Ryan Grondin on my show.
I can't say that. My time. He has done nothing but been nice to me. So I'm sorry if any of you've had any bad experiences with him. But we'll give you a warning.
What it is.
My phone is getting kind of low on battery. I'm on 10%. So just in case it cops out on you, I don't want you to think I left you. But
yeah, I got you. Appreciate you. All right. So East versus West 7, you got smoked by Bacho Saganashvili. I mean, he was so dominant, and that was just crazy. How man, it just, you had nothing for him. No offense. Yeah. East versus West 9, you had the 167 is what he weighed in. You weighed in at 187, as I said earlier. And you had a decent match there because he actually got you a little bit real quick on the first round.
Yeah, I mean,
and
oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Remember, that's the first time I made that weight. That was very hard on my body. First time I'd ever done it. And although I did it pretty successfully, there was a lot of room for improvement. And, Arthur Makarov is currently the East versus West 75 kg champion. Yeah, 75. And so he's no joke. I mean, he's the best in the world at that weight. So I don't pride myself on beating anybody that's lighter than me. I took the match more as a personal opportunity to see what I could do, where I could take my body and where I could compete. And anyway, yeah, he got me off the go because, I mean, he's quick and I was sleeping and, well, I wasn't sleeping. I was ready. He put it on me and,
Yeah. You woke up on that second round, though. Appreciate those comments there, Jay Coben. But ultimately you did win 3-1, and that guy is actually an OG of the sport and a big name over there in Russia.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Matter of fact, hold on, I got a clip of that. Let's see that right now with you. I think I believe this was round 2 actually.
Got it in there. Walks near center table. We have a match inside center. Now let's see if Adam has it. If he deserves to be in this hook with Artur. Looks like he does. He looks like he's comfortable. Yep. Get in there. He's chopping on Artur's pronator. Adam Norzinski being able to chop down with his wrist. He's doing a lot of pronation and chopping. Artur definitely. Artur trying to run. Wow.
You did the Don Hollywood pose right there. That was beautiful. But yeah, he tried to slip out, and then you totally capitalized on that. But that was round two. You just sucked him right in with your strong hand, and that was round two. Good shit there. And then East versus West 13. You got smoked again by Vladimir Mayorov. I believe I'm pronouncing that right. Not real sure.
It was
That guy.
an all right match.
Yeah, he didn't smoke you as bad as Bacho did, but yeah, it was. And what was interesting about that match is how small he looked compared to you. So that dude really really had it that day. So you're 2-2 on East versus West. Have you won a world championship yet?
No, I would love to go over and compete in WAF, and I'm actually trying to make that possible. But it's just hard to get over to. It's just tough because it's usually overseas, and it's all on your own dime, and then you got to qualify, and it's tough. I mean, WAF is the best of the best, no questions asked. So that's definitely where I want to go compete, because I want to pull the best, and I want to be the best. If I'm going to continue in this sport, I told you my first mission is to proclaim the name of Jesus Christ, my Lord, my Savior, and but if I'm going to compete, then I want to do it at the best of my ability. So WAF is where it's at.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I'll make it my best effort to get there.
I wanted, and I discussed this with you. I'm not going to mention any names, but in the general arm wrestling community, right? If there are personal differences going on with whoever, right? It shouldn't matter, right? Do you believe that because of those differences or what have you, that anybody should be barred from competing in a tournament anywhere in the U.S.?
I think you're asking the wrong question. Why do you have personal differences with somebody? I think the first question is you need to make those personal differences right. Because you can have a disagreement with someone, or you may not see eye to eye with someone, and you can still be their friend and respect them. I mean, I have plenty of friends like, or maybe you said something about someone because they said something about you, or whatever reason. You need to get that right. If you have a personal difference with somebody and you are not on good terms with somebody, then you probably need to make it right.
True. But should personal differences have any power or bearing over somebody being able to compete in an arm wrestling tournament anywhere?
I'll just go back to what I said earlier. I mean, if you got a personal difference, make it right. And then there won't be any personal difference, and you won't have to ask that question.
Okay.
But that's your first, I mean, that's just a question to, okay, well, what did they say? What personal differences? That's just, all you're doing is expounding on that ungodliness, and that's not good. I mean, make it right. Make it right with your friend, your relative, whoever. Move on. Don't get, and then inform the promoter. Do what you can. I mean, I can't speak for another man why there would, I can't speak for another person why they would judge a certain personal dilemma to a certain degree. I guess if I'm going to try to answer your question, I can't sit here and say, well, yeah, that person is correct for banning you. When I say you, I mean just somebody in general, from a certain organization because of some personal thing that happened. Because if I were to sit here and triumph my judgment over them, then, then what does that do? That just makes me a better person than them. That just makes me a more righteous person than them. I think we need to go back into God's word and see how to address these situations. There's only one judge, one jury, one executioner, and he's not an executioner. So, you know, again, I can't really sit here and say, well, yeah, that should or that shouldn't. It's not the right question to ask. It's not the right question to ask. I mean, if you made it right, if you went back and you made it right, and that person or that organization still holds resentment against you and still says, you know, well, yeah, glad you made it right, but you're still banned. This life's only in part, brother. Your life's but a vapor. That's what I would tell that person. You know, I'm sorry that you're banned. I'm sure that affects you or means a lot to you or whatever, but you have to seek beyond that. If these things in this world that will burn in the eternal fire after it's done, they don't pass through. If those are the things that you're so set on to where it hurts you that bad, or if it affects you that bad, then you need to reevaluate. You need to reevaluate. That's what I would say. That's how I can answer your question.
Okay. Fair enough. Well, man, it was definitely a treat having you on.
I appreciate you having
me. A world-renowned athlete and a gentleman, man of God. There's nothing wrong with that. So I want to thank you for coming on to the show and
Absolutely.
sharing everything that you had to say and being my guest on the Earnhardt Experience.
I do hope that you would take what I've said and please think about these things. And to anybody watching as well, if you can't answer that question on where you're going to go whenever you leave here, it would be my prayer that you would read the 4 eyewitness accounts, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and see how you can spend eternity with the one true King, Jesus Christ.
You have a good one, man. I know your
Hey,
phone's fixing to run out, so I want you to get cut off.
It'll recharge. Thank you, sir. My respect.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
All right.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Appreciate all these comments. But in my opinion, I would say, fuck no. It should not have any bearing on me competing at any tournaments or for anybody else. Personal differences and all that shit should not seep over into your work life or even your arm wrestling career life. Yeah. Say what you may, but yeah, I'm for real. That shit should not have any bearing.
Shots fired! Shots fired!
But other than that, stay tuned for the next episode where we will have, as far as I know right now, Bart Wood from Game of Arms as my special guest. Want to shout out to exactly. Thank you, Jacob. And business is business, and it should stay that way. Personal business is not business. I totally agree. But let me see here. So want to shout out again to my true fans and subscribers, my Bigo fans. Shout out to Bree again. And to my haters, keep drinking that Haterade.